Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I already did the. I already did the one where I didn't talk the other day. This time I'm talking. I'm Stephen D. I, also known as Stephen Searles. Blogged at Daily Kos, blogged at Women Tribune, blogged at Caucus 99%, posted Cossacks for Sanders on Reddit, and I'm even learning how to use Twitter at the advanced stage of, however old I am according to my daughter. I'm talking today because a lot of people pretty discouraged after yesterday's performance by the FBI Director James Comey, and I don't think he should be. I want to thank James Comey, and I want to thank Loretta Lynch, who's the Attorney General, and I want to thank President Obama. I want to thank all the people this year who worked so diligently to show us what kind of political process we have. It went out of their way to show us that we no longer live in a democracy. There are a lot of people that suspected this already, but I think this year they made it very clear. And obviously the biggest person I can thank for that is Bernie Sanders. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you for running. You didn't get the media coverage, but you got the people's attention. Got my attention. Got my daughter's attention. My 21-year-old daughter. She turned 21 years old today. That's right. It's a good day for me. You taught us all what we should have seen a long time ago. And that some of us did. Just not enough. That if we want to have any real change in this country, it's not going to come from somebody offering a hope and change. It's not going to come from somebody who is the most qualified person to ever run for president. Certainly not going to come from a man who's filed more bankruptcies than you probably filed tax returns, Donald Trump. Although I want to thank him too, because without him, well, we wouldn't really know either how awful our society and our nation and our country and our democracy has fallen. Because he's right about one thing. We're not a great country right now. We don't have single-payer health care, universal health care coverage. Now, the other day when I did my flashcards talking about my wife's situation when she had cancer, pancreatic cancer, survived it, but then suffered irreparable brain damage because of the chemotherapy she took. I left out a few details. One of those details was that chemotherapy drug, that was the first time that anybody did any research on whether chemotherapy drugs at all, any chemotherapy drug, could cause brain damage. Because pharmaceutical companies didn't want us to know. But that was an old one. It was out of patent. Nobody cared about it anymore. It wasn't a moneymaker. That's how we found out. I'm going to tell you another little thing about her story that I didn't really get to explain yesterday. She got immediately approved for Social Security disability, which was good. That was great. But I did not. I'm disabled too. I have a rare autoimmune disorder. It's called tumor necrosis factor receptor cell associated periodic syndrome, which is a mouthful, which you probably never heard of. And yet I wasn't accepted. I was denied disability because at the time that I applied for it, I didn't have a definitive diagnosis of what was wrong with me. But my wife, she had pancreatic cancer. They automatically give you Social Security disability if you've got pancreatic cancer because they expect you to die. And we have millions of people on waiting lists right now trying to get disability. People suffering from all sorts of disorders, autoimmune disorders like myself. People suffering from injuries, traumatic brain trauma. People with mental illness. And they're all being denied, they're all being forced to appeal. So that's something else I want to tell you about our story. It's a pretty sad thing to say about our country when we only want to give people benefits if we think they're going to die. Don't you think? I do. Anyway. And it's a pretty sad thing to say about a country that has two standards of justice. Right. Really, injustice. The kind of justice that gets meted out to those who can't afford to pay for expensive lawyers or who aren't powerful or rich. And the kind of justice the rest of us can get, which isn't much. Which is why we have so many people in prison. And why so many of those prisons are privately owned and operated. So thank you, Hillary Clinton, thank you, President Obama, thank you, James Comey, thank you, Loretta Lynch, thank you, Donald Trump, thank you, Bernie Sanders. You've opened our eyes. Maybe not all of us have our eyes open, but we've opened our eyes. We've opened up a lot of people's eyes to what we really have to know now. That we can't rely on anyone. Not even a man with the background of Bernie Sanders, the record of Bernie Sanders, the history of Bernie Sanders, to save us. If we want to do it, we have to do it ourselves. I have to do it, and you have to do it. And millions of other people like us have to do it. And in a short while, not too many days from now, there's going to be a Democratic National Convention in the city of Philadelphia. Now, I'm volunteering for an organization called the People's Revolution, which is holding an event called the People's Convention on July 23rd. At that event, we're going to have a platform. Not a platform designed, or gone over in back rooms with super delegates who are lobbyists, but a platform in which regular people, volunteers, nobody paid, devoted time and effort. A platform in which we gave public, anybody, the right to come in and comment or to make suggestions or offer their own planks or ideas. That platform on August 23rd, the Arch Street Meeting House in Philadelphia. We're going to have a great event. We're going to have a fun time. We have speakers there, people you're going to want to hear. We're going to have a chance for anybody to come, whether you're for Bernie, whether you're a member of the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, hell, even if you support Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, you're free to come and vote on our platform. Just so you know, though, it's going to include some things that you're not going to see in the Republican National Committee's platform or the Democratic National Committee's platform. Things like a ban on fracking, things like a carbon tax, things like no more trade deals like the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Hillary Clinton said she's against, and yet surprisingly the platform committee still hasn't put in a provision saying that they're against the TPP. Wonder why that is. And we're going to have a provision that's going to require immediate minimum wage to $15 an hour. And most importantly, to me anyway, single-payer health care. I know a lot of people have heard that, we can't afford it. That's impossible. But the truth is, every other developed country in the world has universal health care. And they pay a lot less than we do. A lot. Their medications cost a lot less than what we pay. People laugh at me when I tell them about our healthcare system. I tell them, we have insurance. My wife's covered under Medicare. I have a son who's covered under Medicaid now because he's working at a job that pays below $10 an hour, even though he has 2 degrees, graduated summa cum laude. And I've got health care for my daughter and I. And yet there are so many things it doesn't cover, and there's so many things with deductibles. We ended up spending $23,000, actually more than $23,000 last year, for health care benefits, for health coverage. So, that's what's in our platform. I hope you'll show up to see it, and vote on it, and ratify it, and help us take it inside the convention, but also, in the future, continue to make it better, and to go around and find progressive candidates who will say, yes, I'll run on this platform. Because that's something else I want to thank Bernie Sanders for. He's encouraged a lot of people to run for office. Because they've seen the travesty of our democracy right now. You can't really call it a democracy. And they've decided to get involved. And now specifically with respect to Philadelphia, after our event is over, there's going to be a number of other events. Events that are going to be peaceful, events in which are being coordinated by a group called Philly.fyi.com. I know the head of that organization, Billy Taylor. Spoken to him personally, interviewed him. Wrote about that interview in a blog post on caucus99%.com. And I can tell you right now, we have groups of people who are being trained called Bernie Peacekeepers to make sure that they de-escalate any situation that gets tense. This is a group being run by a woman who's a Quaker, has a lot of experience in this area. But we all know that the people that are running the Democratic National Committee right now are not fond of Bernie supporters, they're not fond of progressives, they're not fond of the fact that we're shining a light on their anti-democratic processes, about the way they've cheated and lied and stealed and told us one thing, told us they had our backs, when in fact the only people they really cared about were the big money donors that were filling the pockets of their campaigns. So they're going to have people, police, law enforcement, just ready to do whatever they can to shut us down, to keep us from expressing our First Amendment rights of peaceable assembly and free speech. So to the people of Philadelphia, if you're not going to be involved in these marches, no problem. But please, take your phone, take your other mobile devices. Wherever you see a march or an event or a rally, record it. Because mainstream media is not going to be recording it. And if they do report on it, they're going to lie about it. So we need you to help. We need you to help a lot. And after that convention, whatever the result is, don't get discouraged. Keep remembering the most important thing we've learned this year. The only way we're ever going to change anything is if we do it ourselves. If we stick together, we can do a lot. We fall apart. Well, we all hang separately, as Benjamin Franklin would say. So that's my message for today. Have a great July 6th. Take care. So long.